This is fun. You want to be on the TV? Hello, my dears. My name is Mariana, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're talking about something really juicy, something that I am personally just so fascinated by. We're talking about synchronicity. And synchronicity is absolutely one of those terms in like the spiritual witchy community that gets thrown around a lot, and we might not always have a really good understanding about what it is. So today we're just going to explore synchronicity, we're going to try to define it, and we're going to see how it works in our magic and in our daily lives. And before we really dive into synchronicity, I just want to remind you to make sure to go follow me on Instagram for daily witchery and wisdom. And of course, subscribe to my channel so that you get more of these fascinating deep dives and all sorts of, fun stuff that I decide to talk about. And I just want to let you know that now is the time to check out my Patreon. If you've been kind of around for a while, you've, like my stuff, you want to see how to engage more, my Patreon is going to cap at a certain limit. I can only take on so many new patrons and provide so much content. So right now I am filling up on people who are working with me one-on-one, who are getting readings from me in a really supportive, regular way. So make sure to check that out, see what goodies I offer, and I hope to see you there. Okay. Let's talk about synchronicity. So synchronicity is something that is very much adopted into our everyday language. It's a word that kind of has multiple meanings at this point. We tend to think of synchronicity as sort of these little moments that happen that just are too coincidental to just be coincidence. Like when we're texting a friend at the exact same moment that they're texting us. Or for me, what's been happening a lot is I keep seeing my birthday on the clock all the time, and who knows what that's about. But synchronicity also gets thrown around a lot in ways that might not really be synchronous. For example, if you see 11:11 on the clock every day, twice a day, is that synchronicity or just math? So we're just going to look at what the real definition of synchronicity is. And of course, synchronicity was coined by none other than Carl Jung. Carl Jung was the first to really come up with the idea of synchronicity, and he defined it as meaningful coincidence. And as Jungian Marie-Louise von Franz writes, synchronicity means a meaningful coincidence of outer and inner events that are not themselves causally connected. The emphasis lies on the word meaningful. And this is really important when we're talking about synchronicity. If something seems synchronistic, but it doesn't really give us any meaning, it doesn't have any meaning for us, it's probably not a genuine synchronicity. And what I mean by that is if you catch 11:11 on the clock, but it literally means nothing to you more than, hey, it's 11:11, it's not really synchronistic. Synchronicities often infuse us with a sense of like numinous awe. They make us gasp, they make us really pay attention to the moment, and they invite us to go deeper, to really look at what that synchronicity is meaning for us. What psychological reality is it touching upon? And maybe for you, catching a certain number on the clock or seeing a certain bird fly by your window is really deeply meaningful. Maybe it reminds you of something profound in your past that you are being called to revisit. Or maybe it's inviting you to trust a new belief about yourself, some belief about your own intuition or magic. Whatever that synchronicity is leading you to, we have to assume it's there to bring us to something really true about ourselves. As Jung said, synchronistic events, moreover, almost invariably accompany the crucial phases of the process of individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming whole. It's the process of becoming thoroughly who we are. It's becoming our truest, most authentic selves. And so the idea of synchronicity is that it's there as a guide, as a magical portal to continue that process of wholeness, to really investigate ourselves and to learn things that maybe we can't know just inside our minds alone. And so now let's get a little into how synchronicity works. Okay, so I'm a little overwhelmed by this topic, but I'll give it my best. Jung offered synchronicity as an alternative to causality. And causality is something that we've all internalized, right? It's this fundamental belief that A leads to B, cause leads to effect. This idea was really something that came about during the Age of Enlightenment. Before, in the Middle Ages, magic was real, God was real, things could happen with no cause. But as the different sciences really developed and the Age of Reason really kind of was the mode of thinking in the world, we were more focused on looking at things in a linear line, looking how things connected this leading to that, leading to that, leading to that, etc. Synchronicity does not work this way. As Jung pointed out, synchronicity is acausal, meaning that it literally does not have a cause and an effect. Rather than thinking of synchronicity happening linearly, this leading to that, we need to think of it happening laterally. These things are happening at the same time, and the thing that connects them is not cause, but meaning. This means that our psyches, what goes on in our minds and our hearts, is connected to the material world. It's connected to literally the world around us. And Jung explained this through his idea of the collective unconscious. And I'm not going to get too much into it right now because we'd be here for 4 years. But basically, the collective unconscious is the idea of this unconscious web that connects us all. It's our ancestral memory. It's the unconscious space that holds the archetypes, that holds all the potentialities of human experience. And when we expand the idea of the collective unconscious to include not only humanity's consciousness, but all of consciousness, all of nature, then all of a sudden we get a really exciting idea about how everything interacts. So let me put this in an example. So I'm going to use the classic Jung scarab story. So Jung was a psychologist, and he had someone come in who, wanted to work with him, really wanted to go into his analysis. So this woman was extremely rational, extremely intelligent, and she was kind of dubious about this very transformative psychological work. And so no matter what Jung tried, he really just couldn't break through, but he knew that there was something that could work. What he sensed was that she needed a confrontation with the irrational. She needed some kind of magical thing to break through her really firm kind of perspective of rationality. So one day she comes to Jung and she's telling him this dream that she had in which someone offered her a necklace, a golden scarab. And just as she was describing this dream, they start to hear this little tapping at the window. And so Jung goes to the window and opens it, and there is a golden beetle that is not indigenous to the area. No one's ever seen this kind of beetle before. And he brings it to her, and she recognizes that as identical to the scarab she dreamed. And it was at that moment that Jung said her analysis really began, that her therapy was really able to take hold. Because the synchronicity of her dream image becoming real, becoming manifest in the world, shook her awake. And so this is why, unpopular opinion time, I mentioned seeing 11:11 on the clock before, and this is one of the most common ways that people think that they're experiencing synchronicities. We see certain numbers, we hear certain phrases, certain things come into our mind, and we go, that was interesting. And those definitely might be synchronicities. There's many cases in which people would bring these synchronistic things to Jung, and he would say, maybe the reason is just for you to believe that there's more than your own conscious brain controlling everything. And that might just be the purpose of the synchronicity, just to broaden your sense of magic and wonder. But if you're looking for 11:11 on the clock, or you're keeping an eye out always for a cardinal to fly by, we really have to question, are these synchronicities, or are these ways that we're trying to get signs that are not really from the authentic unconscious within us, but from our ego brain trying to manipulate our world? The point of synchronicities is that they shock you, right? They come from outside of you so that they take us out of the conscious brain loops we get stuck in, to give us information, to give us a new perspective, so that change is really made possible. So I just encourage you to try to differentiate between signs that you may see that might be little nice moments of validating something about yourself, and true synchronicities that are there to help you change. So now the question that we're left with as witches is synchronicity magic? And you know what? There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of different opinions on this, but I'll tell you mine. I think synchronicity is magic. I think that as witches, what we're trying to do is really be co-participants with nature. We're trying to work in the material world with our spells, with our cards, with our astrology, to really bring about that process of individuation, to really bring about deep and meaningful change and transformation in our lives. And this is exactly what synchronicity is. It is the cooperation between psyche and matter, between our inner worlds and the outer one. It's the alignment of the microcosm and the macrocosm, humanity and the cosmos. And so when we have these synchronicities happen to us, I think we can totally see them as magic, as a way that the universe is trying to give us information that's going to help us transform. And when we're doing our magical workings, we can ask for these synchronicities to happen to us. We can open ourselves for magic to appear. If we really see our magic as the tunnel through which our psyches, our hearts can cooperate with the outer world and vice versa, I think we're opening ourselves to really beautiful, magical experiences that are only going to enhance our lives, beautify it, and deepen it. And I think if you're kind of wondering if something is a synchronicity, the way to check in absolutely is, how does it feel in your body? If you see a bird fly by and it's like, that's nice, maybe it's really not that much of a synchronicity. Synchronicities tend to shake us a little bit. They tend to really kind of make our skin like prickle and our hair stand up on end. They really get into our bones. So just pay attention to your body, pay attention to your heart, and notice if these synchronicities are really bringing about deep change, and that's how you'll know. Okay, so that was a quick deep dive into synchronicity, and I hope that it gave you some new perspective. I hope it gave you a way to kind of approach this topic going forward with, a lot of intention and authenticity. So don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to follow, and I really hope I see you over on Patreon. I have extremely limited number of spaces for people, and it's growing a little bit, and I just want to make sure that you, the people out there who really enjoy my content, get the first dibs. So go check out my Patreon, the link is in the description, and have a beautiful, meaningful, synchronistic day. You're coming? You coming to say hi? You really coming to say hi? This is what you always do? You can't make up your mind? You love me and then you don't love me? You want to be here and then you hate me? Okay, bye!